Hello again. I am Miss Henneman, and I want to say that our topic today is about a true challenge. So, what is our topic for today? Today, we are going to talk about a powerful command, a powerful imperative command, what we read as ārate ton līthon, which in English is translated as remove the stone. And this reference is in John. We will take this chapter 11 of John to talk to discussion during these minutes we have here. But the emphasis, the main emphasis will be here in this expression, in this command, ārate ton līthon. When Jesus says this, the first idea I have is he was not asking someone to remove the stone. He was not asking a kind of a favor. Move the stone, please. He didn't say like this. Also, he was not giving or mentioning a kind of suggestion. He was not mentioning or expressing a kind of opinion, but he was just giving a powerful and imperative command. Ārate ton līthon, remove this stone. Why this kind of emphasis? Because Jesus was in that moment, in the exact moment in front of Lazarus' grave, and he was there to make a powerful miracle. But he didn't do anything while the stone was there, because stone from the very beginning is synonymous of impediment, a synonym of obstacle, a synonym of opposition. And Jesus say, remove this obstacle, remove this impediment, remove this opposition, because I am here to make a miracle. So we will see how we can understand, even apply this powerful command in our lives from now. So from now, we'll divide our topic in John chapter 11 in three simple parts. The first will make a very quick summary. The second will talk a little about the history. And at the end, we'll make a very simple application. But like always, I like to start with the Bible, which is our guide, our main information or main message, right? In my opinion, no one, nothing can teach us more completely or clearly than the Bible. So in John chapter 11, verse 39, we read it like this in English. Say Jesus, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the one who had died, said to him, Lord, it stinks already, because it is 4 days. So, to begin with, I want to mention and emphasize two different aspects of this first verse, verse 39. The first is the imperative command of Jesus. He says very clear, move this stone away. Take this away. Lift it from here. So, again, when Jesus makes a command, in particular an imperative command, he does not give us any chance or possibility to argue, to complain, or even to ask why. So because the imperative command does not have a space, does not show any space to discuss or to change the idea of the command what we are talking about. So in this case, Jesus didn't give the people in that situation any chance to do something different. All they had to do was to obey and say, yes, we will do. So Jesus gave this imperative command and he waited until someone had enough courage to believe in him and to move the stone, believing he was there to make something bigger and much more powerful. Do you know, brothers and sisters, this stone here in this verse talks about Lazarus and his resurrection. But today we can take the same command, this ārate līthon, take the stone away and apply in our lives, because I believe it is not just for the past, it's also for the present, and also for my life, and probably to your life too. So take away the stone as something God has today command to us, because for you and for me, he has something else to do. So the first thing we see is his imperative command. And again, he does not give us any chance to do something different. And the only thing we can do is to do exactly what this command suggests or teaches or say, remove the stone. So we see also through this sentence, Jesus is not asking a favor. He is not making a suggestion, as I said already, or giving as an opinion. He has decided something has to happen, because the next step depends of this first be complete. So now, before to go to the next is take away the stone. And my question is, which kind of stone God is referring to today in my life and in your too? Second part of this verse, we see Martha's reaction. She looked at Jesus and says, Lord, it stinks already, because it is 4 days. Yeah, yes, Jesus didn't know this. He didn't know Lazarus was already dead 4 days. He didn't know already the possible situation inside of the grave, maybe stink, maybe in decomposition, maybe the situation, the condition of Lazarus' body was already changed. For this reason, Martha says it stinks already. He didn't know. And I take this second part just to think something like this. Do you know, I think, it is in my life, sometimes I found yet stones in my life. And I think why? I ask myself why. And one of my conclusions is, when we talk to the Lord, thinking he does not understand everything, or he does not know everything, or maybe he cannot do everything, especially if it's a huge miracle like a resurrection of someone who passed 4 days before. When we act like this, we just accumulate stones in our lives. The stones of incredulity, the insensibility, the stones of confusion. We accumulate stones in our lives because we treat Jesus like we do it ourselves. So our God knows everything, even before things happen. You know this, and I know this, but sometimes, for some reason, even inconsciently, we talk to him and with him, thinking or feeling or even believing he does not know everything. And brothers and sisters, our God is the most powerful God of the whole universe. is the only one for who nothing is impossible. He can do everything. He can do in every time. He can do forever. He is so powerful, and nothing is absolutely impossible for him. So these two aspects will be permanent, will appear during this short discussion, because I would like you to think with me which kind of stone God is referring to today in our lives. So here we have the same reference in Greek. Greek is the original language of the New Testament. And I use usually the koine, the Greek koine, because it's the simplest and easier to understand. So it's a different language, but very powerful and very deep. So the Greek koine says, λέγει ο Ιησούς, άρατε τον λίθον, λέγει αυτού, αδιοφέ του, τετελετικοτός Μάρτα. Κύριε, ede odzei, tertartios gar estin. So the first part, λέγει ο Ιησούς, say Jesus or Jesus say can be first part, right? Jesus say something and then the command, άρατε τον λίθον. Άρατε can be translated as move or remove or take away, as we see here in English, or even lift the stone from here. This is the word ārate, which is a very powerful word. And lithon, which is in English the stone, is also a synonymous of what? When we think about a stone, we think about what? In particular, this kind of stone, which were before in front of the graves. These stones were really big, really heavy, very resistant. When I think about this kind of stone or stones, I think about obstacles, because a stone is also always a synonymous of obstacle, impediment, and even opposition. So Jesus looked at this place. He was there because he had a proposal. He had a very powerful intention, but a big obstacle was in the very front of the door. And he looked at the people who could believe in him in that time and say, move this obstacle from the way. Move this impediment. Move this opposition from here. Because I wanted to do something bigger. So before to go ahead, I just want to say you, the sequence of this miracle was exactly like this. First, Jesus said, move the stone away. And next, he made a miracle. In all these ways, in all these words, the miracle will not come to your life or to mine. I mean, nothing will happen while the stone is there. If God, if Jesus command to me, take away this stone from your life because I wanted to do something bigger, my only attitude, my only option is remove the stone, break the stone, break this chain, and be free. And then the next, I will see the miracle. This is the order, this is the sequence. Move the stone and you will see the miracle. In all these words, while the stone is there, we will not experience any kind of miracle because there is a huge obstacle called a stone. And God does not like stones in our lives. For this reason, the very beginning, the command is ārate ton līthon. Move away this stone. So, if you want a miracle in your life, the first step is which is remove the stone, right? This is the right step. So here, Jesus say, árate ton lito, and then we'll see the second part in English say, Martha, the sister of the one who had died, say to him. So here, the syntax is a kind of different because we are working between two languages. And you know, because the difference of the language, the syntax or the structure is not the same. In English, we read in this sequence. In Greek, I have to look for the words in different places. Example, Martha, the sister of the one who had died, said to him. If I wanted this part, I had to do here. I come into the second line, Martha, and then come to the top. The sister, here deu fe, the sister of, and then come to the long word expressing the one who passed away, the one who left, the one who disappeared, even in this context, depending of the context of the word, disappear, passed. And then come back in the top. Say to him, referring to Jesus. Very here in the beginning, Jesus, Jesus. And then come back again to the second part of the verse, the second line. Kyrie, Lord. Ede odzei. Aured stinks is the opposite of the structure, right? Stinks aured. Here, aured stinks. Tertartios gar esteem. Gar, because esteem is. Tertartios, 4 days or 4th day. So this is a little the same, but I just want again to emphasize. We start our discussion with a very important message, a request, command. And Jesus said this and waited in that situation. Today, the situation didn't change. He continued to command, to ask us, remove these stones from your life. And he is waiting, like he did in front of Lazarus' grave. For what? To make a miracle. Again, if you want a miracle in your life, the first step to do is remove the stone. And then the miracle will happen because it was the sequence in front of Lazarus' grave. First, the stone was removed and then the miracle happened, right? So I hope we all understand in this context. The last thing here is in this verse in Greek, the word dead or death does not exist. Here in English is translated with died, right? But it's because the translation is taking the idea of this word which is passed away or went or left, something permanently. So the idea of that, yes, exists here, but not the word. It's just one simple detail because sometimes the translation change a little the vocabulary to help us to better comprehend the text and even the context. So the first point is the summary, as I said before. This is the first part of our discussion. Because this reference, chapter 11, is too long, it has more than 40 verses, we just will take some of them because of time. The video will not be so long. So I will start here in the verse 11 from John, the verse 5 from John 11. So in this verse 5, we see here, and Jesus loved Martha, her sister, referring to Mary, and Lazarus, right? So why I bring this verse here? Because I like this word loved. This love, who was loving? Jesus, right? It was not someone else. It was not Martha and Mary. It was Jesus. In Greek, we have usually 4 common words or terminologies to referring to love. The first is the love storge, which is the love of friends. The second is a love phileo, which is the fraternal love or love between brothers and sisters. The third is the eros love, which is sexual love. And the last is agape, which is the perfect love of God. It is exactly this word Jesus used to talk about this family. You see in Greek the same text, verse 5. Egapa de ho Jesus, tem Martã e tem adelfe autes, caiton Lazarus. So, the word here in front, egapa, comes from agape, which is literally perfect love. When the Bible mentions this verse 5, it says, and Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus, all the family, he used the most perfect, more excellent love, which is agape. And then we see here, it's the same root of the word, in the same connotation, perfection. He was not loving, he didn't love that family with a human love, with a common love, but it was a very powerful and very perfect love, which is the quality of God in every single thing he offers to us. This for me is a very important observation, and I repeat, if Jesus loved this entire family with a very perfect love, which is agape, we see here, and because he does not change, he is the same in the past, he is the same today, he will be the same forever, as the Bible says. So I can believe he loves us with the same kind of perfect love. For this reason, we have all this right, I will say like this, to enter in his presence, we talk to him in a very special intimacy as a child and father talk together with any problem between them. We have all the confidence, all the support, all the protection, and best company in our Jesus, because of the quality of his love toward us as the best, as the most perfect love, the love agape. So now we jump into verse 9. Here Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? The one who walks by day does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. Why I bring this verse here? It's because apparently in some situations, some people say this verse does not match with the context of John 11. Apparently here Jesus is talking about something else. Are there not 12 hours of the day? The one who walks by day does not stumble. What is this? Because the topic was Lazarus, he was dead, his resurrection. Why this kind of information in the very middle of the text is like it does not match. It's like the context is different. But in fact, after to study very well this text, we understood Jesus, he was talking about God is well. Why this situation here? Because the people around Jesus, before he come back to Bethany and to make this miracle in Lazarus' life, the people were afraid because in Bethany he had enemies. Around this region he had enemies. And the people say, well, don't go there again. Don't come back there because the enemies will attack you and maybe will kill you. And then Jesus said this, well, if you are in the light, you don't have to be afraid. In God's will, if you are under God's will, He will be responsible for you. He will care for you. He will protect you. Nothing will happen. And then the conclusion is, the light of the day is just simply God's will. This is kind of something simple to understand, right? Sometimes I get my conclusion. If we are out of His will, then we open doors to our enemies to attack us. If they attack, they do, but it is not the case, right? It's not the case. So in this situation, Jesus came to make God's will, to preach, to heal, to touch, to establish His kingdom here in this world. And He had to do this. The people were afraid with His life, but in all these words, He saying, don't worry, I am doing my Father's will. He will care of me. He will care about me. He will protect me because His will is like the light of the day. So in the verse 16, we see then Thomas, called Didymus, say to the people around them in the situation before Jesus come back to Bethany. So this man Didymus says, let us also go, we all together with him, that we may die with him. This is another verse which sounds like it's not matching exactly with the context of John 11. Because this man, Thomas, he say, well, if Jesus come back to Bethany, we'll go all together with him because he will die, so we'll die all together with him. What a faith is this, right? Powerful faith, because Jesus always say, don't worry, I am doing my Father's will. He will care of me. It is verse 9. But ahead, some verses after, the same man who was there between the group say the opposite. Jesus will die, and we want to go together to die with him. No faith in this kind of experience. I just bring this to say something. In Hebrews, the book of Hebrews in the New Testament, the Bible says in the chapter 11, I think verses 5 or 6, it says like this. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Because if you come to His presence, first we need to believe He is there. He exists. He is alive. Then it will please Him. Because the opposite of faith is incredulity. And it does not please Him, because how will talk with Him if you don't believe He is there? How will talk with Him? How will be involved with His presence if we think He does not exist? The Bible says it is impossible to please Him without faith. Thomas here, called Didymus, you know this verse, right? Verse 16 says this, let us go because we may die with him. Why? Because he'll die. The people attack him. He'll be alone. He'll be like, he'll not protect himself, etc., etc. We'll die altogether because we'll support him. Jesus, or God, does not need our help. He does not need our protection. God does not need anything. He is God, right? We depend of Him. He does not depend of us. So, sorry. So, as I say, he was referring to die with Jesus, literally. So, verse 17, because it is already 4 days. This is Martha words. When she said to Jesus, it stinks because it is already 4 days. And then I mentioned before, the word dead does not appear in this text. But the idea of that, yes, it is very well connected, and the original make a expression referring to death, but something very permanent, like someone disappear forever because they're dead. And the text does not mention the word, but the connotation of that is present. And Martha used the word, it is already 4 days, referring to he died, he is in the grave, he passed already for 4 days, even is stinking, as we saw previously. So now you jump to verse 35. In this text is a very short text which says Jesus cried. So it is a very short but very powerful text. Why Jesus cried? You asked this question anytime. Why he cried? I don't think he cried because everybody was crying. I don't think this. I don't think he cried because Lazarus was dead. I even don't think. I prefer to believe Jesus cried because he expressed his maximum sympathy with this affliction of this family. It shows to me God not just understand our situations, not just comprehend our troubles, our difficulties, but also he feels, he can feel exactly what we feel. This family, this little family lost someone very important. They were suffering so deep, so hard. When Jesus cried, he was saying, hey, I am here with you. I am feeling, I know exactly what you feel because I can feel the same. It is sympathy. It is, he was feeling from their spirit, from the very inside, what the two sisters were expressing, and even their friends and all the people around. So I thought I mentioned full sympathy with the pain of the others, or in this case, with the pain of that family. In verse 38, it was a cave, and it had a stone placed at the entrance. Yeah, we know we had a big stone in the front of the cave, right? And Lazarus was there inside. So in this case, this big stone, the heavy stone, as I said before, is a symbol of impediment, obstacle. As a symbol of so many other things, even opposition, as I said before. Yes, this one of the reasons why Jesus said, move this stone, or move this impediment, move this obstacle, as he said today to me, and also maybe to you. Remove these stones from your life, and then you will see something big, huge, something you are waiting for so long years already happening in your life right now. Verse 42, we say, so that they may believe that you sent me. So this is the verse. Jesus was in front of the grave, and he was praying. He was saying to God, a word is a prayer more or less like this, verse 42. You always hear me, but I say it out loud for the good of these people around me here right now, so that they can believe that you, Father, sent me. And he said this in front of the open tomb, the open grave, before performing the miracle. So in my opinion, this verse matches exactly with the verse 15, which came very before this 42 in the same chapter, where he say, so that you may believe, or may believe in me. So in the verse 15, Jesus was yet explaining to the people. They were making a kind of a discussion. Jesus wanted to come back to Bethany. The people say, don't go because the people will attack you. You have enemies there. All these things we know already. So in some moment, Jesus says what? Verse 15. And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, because now you are going to truly believe in me. You will truly believe. God or my Father sent me. You will believe in the miracle because I was not there when Lazarus got sick, died. So let's see him if they started to come back to Bethany. He said these words when he decided to return to Bethany, answering the call of Lazarus' sisters. But the disciples, the people around, did not understand. So Jesus said this word, which for me is very important. I am glad I was not there, because now you will really believe. I was not there, but now I will go exactly. And then in front of the grave or the tomb, he said this, Father, I know you always hear my petition, so do this also to make these people believe you sent me to this world. So in verse 43, he cried out in a loud voice, and he said, Lazarus, come out. It was another command, right? Before to go next, I ask you, where was Lazarus on that day? Where he was? Because Jesus said, come out of there. Where was Lazarus? He was in the beautiful place. He was in a nice place, a comfortable place, a place of life. No, Lazarus was in the place of death. He was in the very last place of someone. And Jesus looked, he saw this, he did not like. Like when he see me and you in a similar situation, almost dying spiritually, in place of death, spiritual death, in place of sins, in place of depression, in place of sickness, spiritual sickness. It's possible to believe it when it happened with us, the same way God or Jesus comes to us and say, hey, come out of this, because here outside is where your blessings are in. Your blessings are here outside, and not inside of this grave, not inside of the tomb. Come out of this, like he said to Lazarus, come out of this place. I took this part here, he cried out, for me is a synonym of screaming. Now, the question I asked already, outside of what? Lazarus, in this case, was in a place of death. How many times we are in similar situations? Not exactly dead or sick, but we are in problems. We are in confusion. We are in demoralizations. We are in frustrations. God says, come out of this situation, because here outside is where your miracle is. The miracle is not inside of the grave, it's not inside of the depression, the demoralization, the frustration, angry, unforgiving, guiltiness, all these things. Your blessings are here outside. Your miracle is inside, or miracles are inside of this dark place of death. And what happened when Jesus say this order, this command, Lazarus come out, he came out, literally. Sometimes I think, wow, Lazarus was dead, he very dead, right? But he could hear Jesus' voice. So what is happening now with me? I think with myself. I am alive, very alive, and so many times I cannot hear very well what is the problem with me. This is something which make me think sometimes. He was dead, he very, very, very dead. He could hear. And we are alive, he very alive. But sometimes it's like Jesus is saying nothing because we don't listen, we don't obey, we don't change. It is not good. Not good for us. Verse 44. And he who had died came out, his hands and feet bound with bandages. Jesus said to them, untie him and let him go. So this part here is very interesting because Lazarus heard Jesus' command came out of the grave, but his hands and feet and all his body was involved in bandages. This kind of bandages in that time were used just for people who were very, very sick, like the people in hospitals, or dead people. So, but in our current time, these bandages represent the chains from the past, represent these many oppressions from the past, this much heaviness. We are dragging very heavily in our shoulders or behind us. And so many of them even are a huge obstacle to let us continue to walk normal. We cannot walk normal. We cannot run. We cannot jump. We cannot climb in our faith because of these spiritual bandages. Here Jesus say, let him free, untie him, let him go. This second part for me express which kind of call Jesus made to us. He called us to preach his word and to make the people free by the power of his word. For this, I bring here bandages, symbolize ties, and all this kind of oppression, and many of them relating to our past. Because in the past we had problems, and now we cannot forgive, we cannot forget, we cannot let it go, we cannot feel free, we cannot receive healing to our soul, to our faith, to our hope, to our peace. And all these important aspects, affect our health, our physical health, affect our skin, our hair, affect our bones, affect our existence. For this, Jesus say, make this man free, saying to us, be free and make the other people free too. And we see this kind of call here in Luke 4:18. The final command of Jesus indicated the type of call that he makes us, which is the call. God called us for what? To release the captives and oppressed and of the devil, right? The people who are sick, who is spiritually dead. God called us to release them for all this oppression, heaviness, in condition of spiritual death. It is for me a very clear symbolism. He said clear, make this man free, let him go. It is a kind of the quality of the call he made to me and to you. He called us to serve him under this authority to make the other people go free or live free. But brother and sister, we cannot help others if we are under a huge heaviness. If you are under such horrible situation, we will not be able to help others. For this, this kind of ministry, this kind of healing needed to start first in our lives. So now we will talk in very short minute about Bethany. Bethany was a kind of city, right? A little city, and we will see here some aspects. The word Bethany comes from the Aramaic, which is Bethania in Aramaic. Bethania, which is the kind of a translation of fruit house, is just a translation. So also came from the Greek. Greek is Bethania, is something similar, the pronunciation, que is Bethania. In Greek, you know the Hebrew or the Aramaic, we read from the right to the left, right? But in Greek, the left to the right. So in Greek is Bethania. And as Bethania is translated also as a home of poor or house of affliction. So the definition is not really positive. But anyway, and also Bethany was a very small Palestinian city, and it was maybe around 2.5 or 3 kilometers, which is, I think, the double, maybe around 6 miles from Jerusalem. But the thing is, Bethany was not a famous city, was not really very attractive, was not a tourist city, was not. And also there in Bethany lived a man called Simon the leper. In Matthew 26 we read about him. He lived there. So no good news, no good expression, no good even definition about Bethany. But interesting because in this little simple place, Jesus made some of his huge miracles, include Lazarus' resurrection. Now, even about this context, it talks about Lazarus. So the word Lazarus comes from Hebrew, which is El Azam. Reading from the right to the left in Hebrew, El Azam, which translated became Eliezer, which some writers consider a kind of a diminutive or on a kind of abbreviation from Lazarus. And this name as a diminutive or abbreviation of Lazarus is understood. We understand this name, this definition as helped by God, because he really was, right? Also, the same name, Lazarus, coming from Greek, Lazarus, is a very common and is a very common name, Lazarus. So his name we find in the first time here in the verse 1 of John 11, the same we are studying now, a man named Lazarus from Bethany was sick. So we see his name in the first time in this chapter 11. So even today, this city exists with a different name because it is in honor to Lazarus in Hebrew. And when we talk about Bethany, we also talk, or you also remember, think about a friend which was Lazarus. Beloved was him for Jesus. the village, which was Bethany, and the miracle which happened there. It made the city, the little, not famous city, now very famous, very popular, and very known for so many other people. Now I would like to share some about the stone which was in front of Lazarus' grave. So, or a similar stone. So it was more or less like this with these characteristics. The stone in front of his grave or tomb was made of concrete, iron, cement, and construction glue. So all these material together made this stone so so solid, so hard, so heavy, so compact, and even so resistant, because it was concrete plus iron, a powerful cement, and all these things. It became a very solid, heavy piece of concrete. Very heavy, we know this because the iron and concrete, absolutely very heavy. Even because the huge weight, just amount of around 12 strong men was necessary to lift. When you talk about lift from the ground up, right, it was necessary a kind of a number of strong people to lift this piece of stone, resistant to all types of temperature impact. Yeah, because the concrete and the iron, it was super resistant. Generally, round in shape, was in circular shape to be easier to move, to rotate more easily. And this is the kind of stone that probably was in front of Lazarus' grave. Apparently, this photo, some people mention it was Lazarus' tomb, or Lazarus' grave. I'm not really sure, but if it's not, it's something very similar. The thing is, the stone had this format, circular to rotate easily, but very heavy. Look at the thick it is naturally, and very difficult to break, very difficult to be destroyed. So to this stone, Jesus choked in front of his grave. He say, move this stone from there, or move the stone away. So this is just a symbolism, this is just a photo. But if you want to compare, I ask myself, sometimes the stones of I feel in my life are heavier than this hill. If there's someone helped to move this huge stone, how to move our personal stones without God's help? It is impossible, right? We need to ask for Him. God, help me. I want to be free. I don't want to be under this huge weight, like a ton on top of me. I cannot, because this huge weight does not let us to walk normal, to grow in our faith, to develop our communion with God, to understand His word, to hear His voice, to improve our relationship with Him, with our spiritual Father. So all kind of stones now are under this classification. God is looking at me now, and I'm very sure look at you too. And He is saying, move this stone from there, because I will make a miracle. But remember, first move the mountain. The stone is sometimes looking like a mountain, right? And then the miracle will happen. What we can do if we talking or think about application, how can we apply this ӓρατε των λίθον in our lives today? How can I apply this powerful command in my life today? So, which kind of stone, I ask again, is God being referring to today? Some some people who write or investigate the Bible say that Martha and Mary had the stone of disbelief or incredulity because they complain with Jesus. They say, if you were healed, Jesus, my brother were not dying, was not dead. So they expressed their emotions, they complained, they argued in all this situation. And some people who investigated this event say they had incredulity. Maybe they say it was their stones. This is just an opinion. The Bible does not say this, it's just an opinion. Perhaps this text refers to other kind of stones too. It's possible the stones, which is mentioned here, remove or move or take away the stone or your stone, is referring to doubts, insecurity, aos fears, aos shyness, aos guiltiness, aos lack of forgiveness or unforgiveness, lies, sadness, frustration, dismotivation, desperation, confusion, loneliness, etc., etc., e others. Which kind of stone is God be referring to today? Which kind of stone is Him pointing or seeing in my life or in your life today? But however it is, God commands us saying this. Ārate, ton līthon. Take this stone away. Get it out of there. Get it out of your life. Move it from your heart. Move it from your conscience. Move it from your soul. Because to perform the miracle, it is necessary that the path is clear, the door is open, the way is free, without any obstacle, and then the miracle will happen. Brother and sister, do you want a miracle of God in your life today? As I want? Then, if we want, our first step is to remove our stones. If you want, if you expect, if you need, if you are begging for a miracle of God in your life, the first step is remove your stone, and you will see a big and powerful, indescribable miracle of Him happen in your life. God help us today to understand the power of His command and help us to obey in this correct direction, to see biggest, powerful, and perfect answers from Him to our petitions, our needs, our lives. His command is ārate ton līthon. Remember, the līthon is always, or the stone is always an obstacle, an impediment, opposition, contradiction. God says, move it from there. Ārate ton līthon, remove the stone. Remove this stone. Remove your stone. Remove the stones and be free. And then, once it is moved, the miracle will happen. Just to conclude here, in front of Lazarus' graves, the sequence was, first move the stone, and the second, the miracle happened. In other words, the miracle will not happen while the stone is there. What we want today, which is our decision, and God is believing we will take His help to make the right decision. God help us today to understand and to apply His word in our lives in the most perfect possible way. In Jesus' name. So, if you liked this message, I would like to share it with other people. If you are not part of our channel, please make your subscription, be part of our ministry, our family, and our channel. Okay, for me, it's always a blessing to be with you, to share with you these words, and always effort to study and to share these topics. I learn, I grow a lot in my faith, in my communion with our gods. For me, it's a blessing, a huge privilege to be with you, learning together about this powerful word of our powerful God. So, see you next video. Bye bye.